We have done it! We, the great beings, have created life! We shall call you Kranohi. Krana, yes! Alright, now then on to make more life. I'm thinking something called Mathuran. Yes. Okay, the name's a work in progress. What do we have left over from this process? Oh. Okay, let's try this. I want to make something super friendly, super peaceful, and super fun to hang around with. Something that will love us, like parents. Let's get to work. Hello everyone, and welcome to another Remixed review. Today we're taking a look at all of the alternate and combination models released for the BIONICLE theme in the year of 2007. As usual, this will be all my personal opinion based off of my experience with all of these. It's going to be very interesting to see what we have, because it's going to be a shorter video this month. Don't forget, if you're interested in joining in the conversation, head on over to the TTV message boards at board.ttvchannel.com. Additionally, I want to give a huge thanks to the BIONICLE archives for making this video and, to a greater extent, this series possible. A link to their Facebook page, and trust me, I don't like Facebook pages, will be in the description below, so definitely check them out if you are so inclined. So as usual, that's all out of the way, so let's get started. Starting off with 3 of the Baraki, Mantex, Karapar, and Eljay. We're going to take these 3 and remix! So on the surface, this is a really cool combination model. I really like the idea of it. This is the Pitt War Tortoise, and it's kind of neat because we don't often get turtles or tortoises in BIONICLE. Like, we have them, but not often, so it's cool to see one. I really set my expectations too high for this model. I was super excited to see it, so when I went over to the BIONICLE archives and got the chance to actually hold it and work with it for basically the first time, I was immensely disappointed. As far as articulation is concerned, it does have a reasonable amount. Obviously in the limbs, we do have some extra articulation in these kind of arms that are on the torso, on the sides with the squid launchers, and then we do have, I think, a couple points in the neck. You additionally have some pincers off to the side, toward the head, and the tail that belongs to Mantex on the back. So the articulation isn't something I'm too concerned about. Color scheme-wise, you know what? I'm fine with it. It's kind of a mixture of different things, but it's almost like a turtle has been in a mossy area. Like, obviously enough, Karapar's pieces look turtle-ish. They look very shell-y. So I really like that, and I actually kind of wish that more of those pieces had been used on top where Mantex's are. But alas, I understand they went more for color consistency than anything else. Really, the biggest problem with this model is that it is super freaking fragile. This irritated me the entire time I was actually holding it. The thing barely stuck together, and it was really, really frustrating, because I'd like to put it in a different pose, or I'd like to really look around and see what it's like. Nope, it wanted to fight you every single step of the way, and of course the instructions are nigh impossible to decipher because they're scans from over a decade ago. I wanted this to be my favorite. I was expecting it to be my favorite. It is definitely not. And this is, of course, going without talking about the fact that you're using Ziegelak. 2007 lime joints are being used in this construction, so they're going to break. That about does it. Much to my dismay, I don't recommend anyone try to build this. I don't really think it's worth it, personally. And like all of them will be in this video, this is canon. Moving on to the other 3 Baraki, we're gonna go ahead and take these guys and remix. So this is the Ziegelak, a reptilian race accidentally created by the great beings out of the remains of the process that brought the first Matoran to life. Of course, they wanted to make Krana, but whoops, guess that just happened. You know, like when you want to make muffins, but you accidentally bake a souffle. It happens, it's cool. So I've been around this before. when it was built once at the BIONICLE Archives, and I wasn't expecting a whole lot out of it when I held it then. I thought it was very flimsy, the torso wasn't well put together, it had an illegal connection from what I remember, things were falling off. I just wasn't really enjoying it. I'm quite happy to say that that's not the case at all. I actually think this is my favorite of the 2007 combo models. It's really cool. It's got this really awesome stature. That illegal connection I thought was in the torso isn't a thing. It was just kind of sort of not on the right way when I held it the first time. And it's really neat. So let's go ahead and check it out in a little more detail. As far as the legs are concerned, I really do enjoy the legs. I think they're really cool design, and while the upper legs don't look great in their execution, I'm not too bothered. I really like everything else. They're not that big of a deal. The torso is actually really cool. I think the way that they built it is really clever. It's not really that flimsy, and I really don't mind the way it looks basically at all. The arms are just normal arms, nothing to see here. Tail, same thing. It's a tail. And finally, the neck and the head. This is easily my favorite part of this combo model. The neck is a really cool design, and I love the way that the red, the blue, the black, it all mixes together into this really cool coloration, and I just really love how that looks. And the head, oh gosh, my favorite dinosaur is the Spinosaurus, and this head is super reminiscent of that. I love how those Tachodox blades comprise that lower jaw. It's such a cool appearance. And of course, it does move up and down because they're independent joints. No surprise there. The biggest issue I have with the Ziegelak are its feet. The feet are fine up until that middle claw piece. That is an illegal connection that is stressing out both the axle and the jaw piece. That's not cool, and you do it twice. It's stressing them out. It's not a firm connection. I really, really do not like that. And it's the only thing that makes me think this isn't the best model it could be, because that, I just can't accept that. I wish it wasn't there. I wish he only had 2 claws. Then I would have no issues. And that about says it. I'm pleasantly surprised. I really enjoy the Ziegelak. It's super cool. I love its appearance. And I recommend you try and build it. Maybe try and find a workaround around that middle claw, but still, definitely recommend giving it a shot. And of course, it is canon. Alright. So now we're going to look at an odd combo. I feel like 2007 is smaller because this combo is larger. We're going to take these 4 figures and remix. So this odd looking thing is called the Manutree, and it is a penguin, I think? Okay, so full disclosure, the instructions for this again are scans, and they're over a decade old. So before we get any further, I just want everyone to understand I may have built this incorrectly at some point. So if some of my criticisms are ill-placed because of that, please forgive me and feel free, at least one person, to correct me in the comments. That out of the way, this is probably my least favorite of 2007. I thought it was going to be the Pitt War Tortoise, and I was sorely mistaken. This thing is a catastrophe. The things I like about it would be the color scheme. I think the color scheme is really cool, and again, it's very penguin-like. This is very clearly a penguin. It's described story-wise as being a flightless bird that likes to hang out in icy areas. It's a penguin. I do like some of the design aspects, like the head at a distance looks cool. I like the wings with the Kodak blasters on the side. That's kind of cool. And again, the coloration, the way that's done is impressive. And that's really about it, because everything else is a mess. The torso design, the actual build of it, is so flimsy and loose and difficult to handle. It's just a constant fight. I can't stand this torso. It looks ugly when you're trying to look at the build, and it just will not cooperate whatsoever. Additionally, the way it's designed, the legs have very little articulation. You can't really get movement in the hips. Of course, if you push the upper legs back a little bit, you shorten the overall height of the bird, but it's just so restrictive regardless. Additionally, there are some really not solid connections in this. That front kind of 2 Kodak round thingamabob in the front, the silver thing with the 2 red dots, yeah, that's being held on by the Kodak rounds. I've never seen that before, but it is, and I'm not comfortable with that. Additionally, the head, which I enjoy from a distance, I don't like up close. First of all, it has no eyes. That's kinda weird. Also, that lower jaw, like the Ziegelak, it is in fact an illegal connection. That jaw axle is being stressed because of how that head is built, and I really do not like that. It makes me nervous. I really was happy to disassemble this so that I stopped stressing the pieces. And of course, on the back, you just have this weird squid launcher just hanging there, which is difficult to work with because of the aforementioned loose torso assembly. Overall, this is easily the worst, in my opinion. It has very few redeeming qualities. I'm not a fan of how this was built. The building process was stressful to try and decipher the hieroglyphics that are old scans, and I just can't recommend anyone build this. I recommend you build with the fragile lime joints, the Pitt War Tortoise, before I'll ever recommend anyone try to build this. Final side note, the instructions actually show all the joints as 2008 joints. It's kind of weird. In any case, don't like it, don't recommend it. However, it is, like the other two, canon. And that's all of them. I know, small year, we'll make up for it again next year. However, we still have the alternate system sets to go over because 2007 was the last year that had them. So let's go ahead and take a look real quick. Starting off, we're going to take this first set, which is definitely more middle of the road. You could probably get this and be satisfied with its set, and turn it into this. So one of these things is a creature. It's the pod, but it now has jaws, and it has limbs and fins and tentacles, and it's just kind of weird. And then the main craft has been turned into this other unusual thing. I guess it's just another Rahi. I would say this was a downgrade, but that might just be because I'm more familiar with the stock set as opposed to whatever this is. Not really too visually appealing to me. Let's go ahead and move on. Next, this one, which is definitely the worst, in my opinion, of all of these System Bionicle 2007 playsets. It's a mouthful. We're gonna go ahead and take this one and turn it into... I mean, it's not really an improvement. It's also not a downgrade, I don't think. It's just purely an alternate build. The main craft, I think, maybe looks a little better, but only because some of the jumbled side view of it has been obscured by panels. But then that giant thing on the top just looks like a mess. The creature looks cool, though. I actually like that design. It's kind of clever. I like that look. But outside of that, not my cup of tea. But then again, the set never was to begin with. So let's go and move on. And finally, one of my favorite Bionicle System playsets, the Toa Terrain Crawler. We're gonna take it and turn it into Kmart variety Toa Terrain Crawler. Would this be Kmart? I feel like it's not terrible enough to be Walmart brand quality, which I say hyperbolically. However, it's not good enough to be like name brand quality, you know? It's just weird. I feel like they took the Toa Terrain Crawler and they downsized it, and then they shoved on a bunch of other Bionicle looking pieces, and it just doesn't look as coherent, it doesn't look as well built, it doesn't look as nice. It's just a helicopter with legs and tentacles, and I'm not a big fan of that. And then the creature also looks like a downgrade. It's got a rib cage now, I guess. I don't know. It almost feels like the Toa Terrain Crawler if it was for juniors. Either way, I'm not building it, so what the heck. And that does it. Even though we had such high quality photos for those, we have no instructions, so I can't build any of them, obviously. But that actually does it. That's 2007. I apologize to everyone who looks forward to these every month, expecting to really dig into a year, but I got some bad news. This is the video, and of course, we have 2 more that are going to be very similar to it. So I apologize in advance, but they're still going to be monthly. Overall, 2007 is a very small year for combo and alternates, and definitely not one of the best. There are worse years for combo models, but 2007 does not do its year justice. In a year full of really cool and dynamic sets, the combo models are okay, I think. Thank you all so very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and join me next month when we up the amount of combo and alternate models in 2008. Once again, thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you all then. Farewell.